Hey, fifth grade, how's it going? Welcome back. We are going to, today, learn how to add and subtract fractions and simplify them to find our final answer. So, let's get started. Last time, boys and girls, we looked at a game just to understand how to add fractions. Again, we're adding mixed numbers, which have the whole number and the part together. We also played this game to try to figure out how to add fractions and find the final answer. We did page 55, a couple of the problems, and we're going to continue on page 55 today. So, let's get started. On page 55, letters E and F were the problems that we ended up with, so let's do those right now. The first problem, letter E, says that we're supposed to add 9/10 and 1/6. Now, we already know that both of those fractions don't have the same denominator. So, what do we need to do? Well, we need to multiply both of them to try to find the same equal denominator. I know that 30 is going to be my denominator because 6 and 10 both have 30 as their common multiple. So 10 times 3 is going to give me 30, and 6 times 5 is going to give me 30. If I do that, then I'm going to have 30 and 30 for both of my denominators. 10 times 3 is 30, and 6 times 5 is 30. Okay, now I have the same denominator, so what I did on the bottom, I also need to do on the top. 9 times 3 and 1 times 5. Well, 9 times 3 is 27, and 1 times 5 is 5. So I have 5/30 plus 27/30. All right, now what I'm going to do now is just add the numerator, 27 plus 5, which is 33. I'm sorry, 32. Okay, now I have 32 on the top and I have 30 on the bottom. This is not a simple fraction, and the directions say that we need to simplify the fraction. So 32 over 30 equals, we don't have a lot of space in the bottom, but we could change this to 30/30 plus 2/30. Now I know that any number over itself is always going to equal 1. So this right here that we have is equal to 1. And what we need to do is we need to divide both 2 and 30 by the same number. I'm going to choose 2. I'm going to divide 2 by 2 and divide 30 by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1, and 30 divided by 2 is 15. So your final answer is 1 and 1/15. Now this is the same as 32 over 30, but I have simplified my answer, and I changed it to a mixed number. Let's go on to letter F and find out if it's similar to the first problem. Letter F again has 10 and 6 as my denominators. Now I know that I need to change both of my denominators so that they're equal, and then I can add them. 10 times 3 again is 30. And 6 times what number is going to give me 30? Well, 6 times 5 is 30. So I'm going to multiply 6 times 5 to give me 30. And I can do the same thing on the top. 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. And since I multiplied 10 times 3 to get 30, I'm going to also multiply 3 times 3. 3 times 3 is 9. Now what I have, boys and girls, is I have 9/30 plus 25/30. Since my denominators are the same, I can just add my numerators, 9 plus 25. What is 9 plus 25? Well, I know that 9 plus 25 is the same thing as 25 plus 5 plus 4, and 25 plus 5 is 30, and 30 plus 4 is 34. So my answer is 34/30ths. But I can simplify this. I know that 34/30ths equals 1 and 4/30ths. I know that because I can break this down into 30 plus 4. And 30 over 30 equals 1. Now I can divide both 4 and 30 by the same number to get an even simpler fraction. Let's try 2. 4 divided by 2 equals 2. And 30 divided by 2 equals 15. But I can't forget to put my whole number in my answer, 1. So my answer is 1 and 2/15. If you follow these problems step by step and simplify the fractions, and then convert them into mixed numbers, you'll always come up with the correct answer. Just make sure you always remember to convert your denominators into the same number by multiplying. Let's go on to the next problem. The next problem is on page 56. Before we go to the next problem, I want to remind you, boys and girls, that when we're trying to find the same denominator, we need to find equivalent fractions. For example, 3/4 plus 2/4 can easily be added because they have the same denominator. If we have, for example, 1/3, and we want to change this to 12ths, we can multiply both the numerator and the denominator. 1 times 2 equals 2, and 3 times 2 equals 6. So 1/3 is the same as 2/6. You can see that on the board right here. This covers the same amount of area, so this fraction and this fraction are both the same. But if we wanted to change that, like I said, to 12ths, we would have to multiply both numbers again by the same number. For example, if we have 2/6 and we want to change that to 12ths, we would multiply 2 times 2 and 6 times 2. 2 times 2 is 4, and 6 times 2 is 12. Now we have the same denominator. It's important, boys and girls, that you understand the importance of these equivalent fractions. Here's a couple of other examples to show you. Here's some equivalent fractions for 1/2. And some more equivalent fractions for 1/3, 1/4, and 1/5. You'll notice the denominator is changing as well as the numerator because we're multiplying both numerator and denominator by the same number. Let's take a look at one more example. If we have 1/2, I know that that's the same as 2/4, which is the same as 8/16. Basically what we're doing is we're separating these parts out into smaller sections, but the amount that's being represented is not any different. You can see that 1/2 covers the same amount of space as 2/4, which covers the same amount of space as 8/16. Now, when we do these examples and we're trying to add them or subtract them, all we need to do is either multiply both the numerator and denominator by the same number or divide, depending on if we're going up or down. Let's take a look at a couple more examples. On page 55, letter E and F, we already did that problem. We multiplied both the numerator and the denominator by the same number to get the same number, right? Let's check on page 56 now with some subtraction problems. If we have 7/8 and 3/4, we need to come up with the same denominator. Now I know that 8 and 4 are not the same. So what do we need to do to get them as the same? Well, we can multiply 4 times 2 to get to 8, or we can divide 8 by 2 to get to 4. But I see here that 7 doesn't divide easily by 2, so it's probably better that we multiply. Let's try that instead. we're going to multiply fourths by 8 and the 3 on the top by, by 2. Okay, let's try that. 4 times 2 and 3 times 2. Now my new fraction is going to be 7/8 minus 3 times 2 is 6, and 4 times 2 is 8. Now we have the same denominator. Now we can subtract like normal. 7 minus 6 equals 1. And our denominator stays the same. 1/8 is your final answer. Let's check out letter B. Again, we need the same denominator. 5/6 and 1/12 don't have the same denominators. I see here that this is representative as 1/12. But if we separate this into 6 equal pieces, for example, separate here, and separate here, and separate here, we now have 6 equal parts. Okay? And if I wanted to change this to, for example, if I want to change this to 12ths, the 6ths right here represented would have to be multiplied by 2, right? Because I split 12ths into 6 equal parts. Okay, so 5/6 then would equal 10/12. So I could color in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, this now equals 10/12, which is the same as 5/6. Okay, so now how do we do this? How do we subtract this? Well, since we already have 10/12, because we multiplied both the numerator and the denominator, now we can just subtract 10/12 minus 1/12. 10 minus 1 equals 9. And 9/12 can be simplified one more time. So let's try that. Let's simplify 9/12. Let's divide both 9 and 12 by the same number. Again, we want to simplify. We want to make sure our answer is in its simplest form. Let's divide both 9 and 12 by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. And 12 divided by 3 is 4. So your final answer is 3/4. All right, boys and girls, we're going to stop right there. What I wanted to do is just show you that we did a Kahoot for today. The Kahoot is relatively simple. It's actually just trying to find equivalent fractions, okay? So congratulations to a couple of the students, Roy, Isaac, Rachel, and then we also had a couple of students like Santiago that placed very highly in this equivalent fractions Kahoot. Congratulations, you guys did really well. We will continue on Friday during the next class to continue with those problems on page 56. So, see you guys later.